our best wins to date.
Yeah.
We can only enjoy it for the next couple of hours. Tomorrow, we ride on to Atlanta, right? We're going to take a mini bye, but we're on to Atlanta. Hell of a job. We know what the task is at hand. All right? Get some rest, get off your feet, get some treatment. We're ready to go on to Atlanta tomorrow.
That's a great team win, but we know how good we can be, man. Still a lot left out there. We know how damn good we can be. Let's go. Divisional opponent this week, man. Let's go. Family on three. 1, 2, 3. Family.
Today, we are going to be going over the best and the worst from the Buccaneers' Week 4 victory over the Philadelphia Eagles by a final score of 33-16. A massive win by the Buccaneers to improve to 3-1 on the season, a game that, quite frankly, they had to have, right? After the disappointing loss against Denver, they come out and they dominated Philly. I mean, especially in the first half. That might have been one of the most dominant halves of football I've ever seen this team play. Even in the Tom Brady era, whatever era you want to say, any team, that was one of the most dominant halves of football I've ever seen this Buccaneers team play. And it resulted in a W, and that's all that matters. So, last week we didn't really have too many good things to talk about, right? This week, it's going to be different. This week's going to be the opposite, actually. There's not going to be too many bad things to talk about. That's always a positive. So with that being said, let's get right into the positive and talk about the players who impressed the most. First off, we're going to start off with the quarterback, Mr. Baker Mayfield. Baker had a great day today. Tore apart the Eagles defense. Quick passes, good decisions, accurate throws, decisive with the football. Last week, you hold on to the ball a little bit. Not an issue this week for him. Baker Mayfield was great. Threw the ball a crap ton. I mean, 47 times. He was 30 of 47 for 347 yards. 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, passer rating of 100.2. But he also had 4 carries for 10 yards and a touchdown. So 3 total touchdowns for Baker Mayfield against the Eagles, and a great bounce back performance, something that the Bucs needed him to do, and he did just that right at the start. I mean, the Bucs finally get an opening drive touchdown for the first time since 2022. Baker marches them right down the football field, and they're off to the races. So really, really great start by the Tampa Bay, and they just kept their foot on the gas pedal. So Mayfield, a great job there. We're also going to shout out the Buccaneers running backs, okay? Because I think Bucky Irving and Rachaad White both had equally pretty good days. Both made impact plays. Bucky Irving getting his first career NFL touchdown, and it was good to see. They had actually the exact same rushing yards and rushing attempts, 10 attempts for 49 yards. Bucky Irving had the touchdown there. So Rachaad White made a few impact plays in the passing game as well. I was impressed with them. We're going to be going to Mike Evans now. Hello, Mr. Mike Evans, right? This is a reminder that Mike Evans is still pretty darn good at that game of football. He reminded a lot of people on Sunday, people who had forgotten, right? Because, look, it was a quiet 2 weeks for Mike Evans in Detroit and then against Denver. Did not get him the football. He struggled to get yards, struggled to get consistent separation, consistent targets. Was not an issue on Sunday for the Buccaneers. I believe the first play actually was a design to him for 7 yards. He catches the opening drive touchdown, and then he's off to the races there. So 8 catches for 94 yards and 1 touchdown for Mike Evans. They just kept feeding him the football, and good things are going to happen when you feed Mike Evans the football. That's just how the cookie crumbles. So, I thought really the offense as a whole, right? I'm mentioning a lot of the skill positions here, sort of trying to go through them. Look, this Bucs offense was really, really good. And really, I mean, especially in the first half, it's just executing perfectly. There was a little bit towards the end of the half that wasn't great, but you're not going to have 100% execution the entire game. But I thought they were really good, and Mike Evans was a big reason why. And getting him the football early and often was also a big reason why. Chris Godwin also impressed. 6 catches for 69 yards. He continues to have just a really, really good season. So contract year might be worth a lot of money come the offseason, but he definitely impressed. We are also going to give a shout out to the Buccaneers offensive line. We were critical about the Bucs offensive line last week when they gave up 7 sacks. Not all of it was 100% their fault. However, that still happened. So when that happens, you have to look at it a little bit differently. And look, the Bucs offensive line struggled. Right? They struggled a little bit in Detroit. They struggled, against Denver. And Lou Gedeke was out, right, for this game. You thought there was a good chance actually, that he was going to be back in this game. Was not to be. He was pronounced out on Saturday, and that was kind of a shock because it seemed like he was going to be able to play. when that happened and that news came down, you're like, oh man, how is this offensive line going to perform? Cody Mauch, who struggled in the interior there. Ben Bredesen has had his moments against an Eagles front that has a lot of talent. I mean, they do. Brandon Graham, Bryce Huff, Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis, Nolan Smith. They have a lot of talent there, a lot of talented pass rushers, and the Buccaneers pretty much held their own. The Eagles defense was pretty much held in check, and I think the game plan helped, right? Getting the ball out quicker. I think the Buccaneers did a much better job of that game planning for the strengths and weaknesses for the offense this week. So I want to give a shout out to not just anyone in particular on the offensive line, just the offensive line as a whole, because I thought, they all played pretty darn well. Moving over to the defensive side of the football, we are going to talk about Yaya Diaby. Yaya Diaby got his first sack of the season on Sunday, as the Buccaneers, I Bleav, racked up 6 sacks. So after having 2 in the first 3 games, they get 6 in this game. Guess it comes in bunches, I suppose. But yeah, Yaya Diaby had a great day. Another person I want to shout out who also had a sack is the returning Vita Vea. And Vita Vea came back after missing just a game. I mean, he did miss most of the second half of the Detroit game, but only missed really 1 full game, and that was Denver. Came back and made an impact. He made an impact, had a sack in this game, and looked pretty good. Looked like his old self, really. Good at run defense as well. Stuffed Saquon Barkley a couple times, specifically down in the red area. So was really good, really impressed by Vita Vea, and he looks like he hasn't missed a beat. So that was a really, really positive sign. We are also going to discuss Lavonte David, who was probably the best defensive player on the field for the Buccaneers on Sunday. Really a vintage Lavonte David game. 8 total tackles, 2 sacks, which the first time Lavonte David has had 2 sacks or 2+ sacks in a game since 2018. So pretty impressive for a guy of David's caliber that he hasn't done that more. But the first time he's had multiple sacks in a game since 2018. But he was all over the field on Sunday. Forced a critical fumble. At that point, the Eagles could have made that game a 1-score game. They were going in, and Lavonte David was able to get the strip sack on Jalen Hurts, and the Bucs recovered the ball. They kicked the field goal to make it a 3-score game, and that was pretty much all she wrote. So a critical play when the Buccaneers needed it the most from Lavonte David. He also set a milestone. So he has 1,500 tackles in his career. He joins Derek Brooks as the only Buccaneers players in the team's history to do such. So congratulations to Lavonte David, a major milestone. And, he's been fantastic, right, for the Buccaneers his entire career. But these sort of accolades just sort of help that as well. So I thought Lavonte David was really, really good on Sunday for the Bucs. And like I said, came up big when they needed him. And there was a few times in this game where they needed a big play. And that's exactly what happened. But with that being said, not everything was perfect, right? So let's get into the bad. I wouldn't even really say bad. I don't know. The not as good, I guess, maybe. Punter Trenton Gill, who was filling in for Jake Camarda. Jake Camarda was inactive. The Bucs have not been happy with Jake Camarda's punting. They've been pretty open about that. So they give Trenton Gill the start, and 37.5 yard average, not really any different than Jake Camarda, and I just think you would rather, we've seen what Jake Camarda can do when he's on. So I would personally rather just roll with him and hope he figures it out. Also, Trenton Gill, the extra point was blocked after one of the touchdowns. He had an opportunity to push Kelly Ringo out of bounds, and instead couldn't really quite do it, couldn't make the tackle, and Kelly Ringo ended up returning it for a 2-point conversion. So, again, not necessarily his fault, just something to nitpick there a little bit. The other one is Cameron Johnson. And Cameron Johnson was a talk of the town in the preseason for the Buccaneers. He was going to be the kick returner. He was going to be this and that. He gets an opportunity on Sunday. Jalen McMillan's out of this game. He's inactive. Trey Palmer leaves the game with a concussion. So Cameron Johnson figured to get a bigger role, right, with those guys down. And he had a ball right in his hands that would have made it 28-0. Had a ball in his hands in the end zone and just simply dropped it. And when you have that opportunity, he didn't get another opportunity the rest of the game. When you have that opportunity, you got to make the most of it. And Cameron Johnson just simply didn't. So That is the worst. That is the worst of the best, pretty much. This is a dominant performance. This was a really, really good performance by the Buccaneers and solid momentum heading into a pretty critical matchup, the first divisional matchup for the Bucs, first NFC South matchup this season on a short week against Atlanta on the road in Atlanta. So really good, nice to build some momentum, head into that matchup 3-1. They now, because Atlanta actually beat New Orleans, the Buccaneers now sit alone at the top of the NFC South division. So it would be nice to get a division win, really get a stranglehold on this division by beating the Falcons on Thursday. But with that being said, please let us know who you thought was impressive and who you didn't think was impressive in this win. Let me know in the comments section below. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and go Bucs.